Trump's in Washington today. This morning, he met with congressional Republicans. Florida Congressman Cory Mills was in that meeting and joins me now. Congressman, tell us, what did Trump talk about today?
Well, look, at the end of the day, Trump's big plan is how do we win? We're looking at November. We're looking at the different things that we incurred with regards to election integrity in key states. We talked about his willingness, and this is something that you don't see from a lot of presidents. This is a guy who's running his own presidential campaign, and meanwhile, what he really talked about is how do I help you to win more seats? How do I help you to keep your seats in tough and tight races? How do we take the Senate? So he was not just focused on his own presidential election, but strengthening the overall conference and also that in the Senate. And so he's very focused. He's got a winning strategy at hand. We had Michael Whatley, the RNC chairman, who was there. He talked a little bit about his strategy and how he's going to maintain, working towards election integrity. So look, the president's fired up. He's in great spirits, and I think that he really rallied the GOP today to be able to come together and unite to win in November.
Well, if he asked you guys, what can I do to help you win? What did you tell him to get you to win?
Well, I'll tell you something. Most people just talked about us sticking to the issues. The way that we win is real simple. We get him back into the White House. That's how we win. If President Trump is in the White House, it's a win for all of America. It's a stronger economy. It's lower inflation. It's borders secure. It's stopping the world wars that are just continuing to spiral out of control under failed foreign policies. All of America wins with Donald Trump in the White House. And so it was more about how do we focus on the key issues. And we talked a lot about what are the issues that we need to be focusing upon? What are the policies that we need to be dealing with? What is the deal to try and gain economic growth strategies that we can codify into law to combat this $35.6 trillion that's continuing to grow. And so a lot of this was focused on how do we save America, and that's always been President Trump's #1 goal, and that of the GOP.
And let me talk about the Middle East for a second. Hamas wants changes to the proposed ceasefire plan. Listen to what National Security Advisor Jake Sullivan said about it. Roll it, please.
Many of the proposed changes are minor and not unanticipated. Others differ more substantively from what was outlined in the UN Security Council resolution. Our aim is to bring this process to a conclusion. Our view is that the time for haggling is over. It's time for a ceasefire to begin and for the hostages to come home.
Congressman, I'm sure you will say we should not be negotiating with Hamas, but do we have any choice? They've got the hostages. Don't we have to negotiate with them?
Well, at the end of the day, I don't believe that we should be negotiating with terrorists. And I also think that we should be applauding IDF's successful rescue of 4 hostages here recently. But what I would say is this. I hear Jake Sullivan keep talking about these, expected changes, but he won't release what those changes were. And meanwhile, you have the spokesperson and leader of Hamas who's saying that we had not agreed to any ceasefire or any proposed changes. And they're pushing it onto Israel to say, well, you said that Israel has agreed to the May 31st Biden, kind of peace deal, but yet they've not made an official statement. Why isn't Israel acknowledging it? So it's a lot of pointing fingers where it seems to me they don't have anything in place, and this might be just playing politics at the White House to try and appease both sides.
Well, the Democrats are hopelessly split on this. I mean, there's probably a third of the Democrats in Congress who vigorously oppose any support for Israel whatsoever. How are they going to come up with a solution?
Well, I don't think that they have a solution at all other than just stop the ceasefire in its entirety. They're not thinking about the American hostages there. They're not thinking about the 1,200 people who was brutally and barbarically murdered, raped, and taken into hostage and murdered subsequently, after the fact. So they're not thinking about that at all, Varney. They're thinking about trying to pander to the radical left and to the Islamic terrorists, not to the American will. And so we have to start prioritizing the American people that are there, and we have to start thinking about America as a whole, Stuart.
Did Donald Trump say anything about Israel, Hamas this morning with you guys?
Well, he's definitely a strong supporter and advocate of Israel. He also talked a lot about the relationships that he had built, whether it be with China to stop what was going on with them, whether it be with Russia. He said it wouldn't happen, the things that are happening right now, had he been in president. I can tell you that's an absolute fact. I would not have been in Afghanistan rescuing Americans. I would not have been in Israel rescuing Americans. And I would not have been in Haiti rescuing Americans if President Trump was in the White House right now.
You did all of that, didn't you? Afghanistan,
yes, sir, I did.
Israel, Haiti, you did it all. So you're quite a guy. Take my hat off to you, sir. In fact, I'll salute
thank you, sir.
Come back soon, Cory Mills.
Thank you, Stuart.
Yes, sir. Thank you.